Everybody, how you doing today? It's Fred over at Sales Guys Unlimited Sales Growth with Kevin.
Yep.
Back with another podcast. To go over some window demonstration today, some tie downs with your presentation for window sales. First and foremost, thanks to all our subscribers. As always, we appreciate the following. Any questions, concerns, or obstacles you have, you can always leave some comments or email us at salesguys.unlimitedgrowth@gmail.com, and then post everything on our Instagram, updates about the podcast episodes, and just some photos, interaction, and stuff on there. And that's salesguys_unlimitedgrowth. So really two opportunities to kind of reach out to us, again, with any obstacles, concerns, or questions.
Right.
As it pertains to your particular field. Our main, say expertise obviously is in the, home improvement renovation business. So today I wanted to just touch on window process. I like to keep it, say, simple, keep the customer engaged, and ultimately, keep the effectiveness in your demo. One thing, Kevin and I were discussing, as it pertains to different customers, obviously you have like, an engineer or somebody that, is very involved into maybe,
Technical
compositions or, how air, translates and, things like that. You might want to go really in depth with things like argon gas and, probably one of the biggest things with the window effectiveness. And then your everyday customer, you just kind of want to keep it simple.
Right.
So we'll review some of that stuff too as we dive in here, and just key talking points of this particular monitor replacement window that we have here. I don't know if you want to maybe add a couple things before we get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about a window or siding or roofing, we always want to have sort of a framework of how are we going to explain and deliver that information to the customer. So as Fred alluded to before, when you have someone that might be a little more technical, I want to see more of the specifications of the unit or the attributes of the window explained a little in greater detail. The counterpoint to that would be obviously the average layperson that basically says, my window's broken, I need it fixed, I need it replaced, put it back in. That's fine. That'll be more or less the bulk of your customer. We do want to treat them as though they want to know a little bit about the window and explain really what the value is. What do you bring? What are you delivering to them? What are you providing for them in the investment that they're making to you? And I've always found that there has to be a very concise, clear order of operations of how you're distributing that. So for me, and not to cut to the chase here, but for me, I want to talk about the glass, the sash, the frame, the warranty, something along those lines. And that might be modified for each customer. You might find someone that, I want to know that it's going to, eliminate drafts, and I know it's cost effective. And they might give you those verbal cues as you're going through the needs assessment early on, and that'll actually drive your particular
each customer needs assessment. Again, that's how you really kind of gauge as you go along. And then all your tie downs. If you're in your particular bedroom, this is very drafty. Maybe so I like to get each. This is Johnny room. This is my daughter's
that's
room.
A key point. Get the names of the rooms, because then you could tie it down. It makes it very personal.
It's a personal emotion. Again, emotional part of the buying process. But also to show them that you're listening. Against their concerns. If you just came down, this is the window. That we're going to put in, and each client is different. Somebody might just come in and say, well, hey, I'm going to be here for 2 years. I'm moving, so I don't want to go, with the top of the line product. And then you kind of gauge the customer. I'm going to be here for at least 10, 15 years. That's a customer you're going to show value. Top end, and I think each manufacturer or window company, obviously has different series across the board. Kind of your builder's grade. Say middle of the road, and then obviously your high end, most efficient designs, capabilities, functionalities through the windows themselves that they offer. So what we're going to do is just kind of dive in. I'm going to kind of go over, kind of what I do. This particular replacement window that we have here. What's nice about this window, it could be installed as a replacement window, pocket insert, and then also a new construction window with the flange. If customer wanted to go down that route. And just key tie-ins and how we, kind of deliver that back with the customer.
Sure.
To tie their confirmation down and make sure, again, it's something, that they want. Because as you're going through the demo, again, you want to tie it down because, when you eventually put windows in the home, is this the product that looks right for you?
Absolutely.
At that point, really, they bought, don't know it yet, but
Right.
once you really have all those commitments, at the end of the day, it really comes down to
Sure.
probably for everything for everybody out there is
Yeah.
price. We can overcome that with different crops or different maybe promotions
Financing
that you
terms.
have
Yep, absolutely.
through the company. So with that, basically, we'll start to kind of maybe dive into it here.
Sure.
We're also going to keep this into a two-part series.
Yeah.
Second part, we'll kind of dive into different glass and how we show them the heat test with that. So we wanted to kind of break that up. So just to look forward to the next time. A lot of companies now have, say, like a heat test.
Yeah.
So we'll show you what that looks like too. So I try to keep components in Windows really operation, functionality for the customer, everyday use. Really, I think that's really going to be, I would say, one of the most important that they understand.
Yeah.
The second part would obviously be the glass and what we call low E argon gas. Some companies now have krypton gas. They give it different names, but ultimately they all kind of,
Perform
do
the same task.
Do the same
Yeah.
thing. It's
Okay.
just
Yeah.
krypton on it. Everybody wants to have a different sales pitch, so they give it a different name. So I think functionality is really probably one of the most important. How are you going to use this window every day? You're going to open it. How are you going to clean it? So what I like to dive into first is really the operation of the unit with the customer. Show them obviously the locks functionality. So your windows might have two locks, cam locks. This one actually has an auto lock system where it actually clicks in. Some people like that functionality. Some people like the old cam lock where it slides across. So you could give them that option either way, depending on your demo, what it has there.
Right.
And then
Fred, let me just jump in there. So I want to, tell listeners, if there's a single lock in there, or they know they like the cam lock where it's a simple tried and true, or they might like something with a little more flair to it, a little more, appeal to it. They might want to go that way. But when we're doing that, we want to give them an option, because if they give them a crossroads, they got to pick one. You know, so which one do you like? Great. You said
so
earlier,
eventually, when you put the windows in,
Correct.
Again, past tense versus present tense.
Yes.
When you put the windows in the future, do you think you'd like the cam lock?
Yeah,
and have them again commit to that. You get them
Sure.
involved, get them engaged the actual window, and then boom. So it's functionality, framing. We'll go through as we go along. Glass wise, in our particular industry, actually everybody gets the same glass. From the same manufacturer actually through the industry, believe it or not. So it really comes down to the components behind that. So as we build it through, I think open up a functionality, custom everyday use. You remember inside the bedroom, or Johnny's room, or in your particular bedroom.
Yeah.
Kevin, when you said you're having trouble, actually holding the stick with the unit.
That was my security measure, actually. Yeah.
Automatic security blankets. So I'd like you to do, if you just want to stand up, you can
sure.
see the unlocker here. Just the smoothness of the window. If you want to lift it up and down.
Oh yeah, there's no. Yeah.
As you,
absolutely.
obviously reaching across, very smooth as it glides across. And what's nice about the double hung units, if you just want to push here. Now, a lot of double hung units have an interlocking pressure seal at the top.
Sure.
So I try to tell people with that component is to kind of, it does have a little pressure to it, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Makes
But
it feel
operate
very,
the top and the bottom.
It feels like it's very sealed. I won't feel a lot of air drafts coming in, because that's really my concern with Johnny's room.
Yes.
So this really sounds like what's going to solve my issue.
So functionality first, as you see, operation, we want to make sure it's easy for you to use on an everyday basis. I think that's one of the most important things. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And then next, obviously, is, I'm sure, maybe not your husband, or it could be like me, where he likes to clean a lot.
Sure.
Is how can we clean the windows? So the older windows that you have there were.
Do they tip in or anything? Do they do anything like that?
Actually, they do tilt in.
Okay.
So these windows pretty easy on each side, and again, interaction with the customer. So this is
try
really want to give the customer involvement. Here, with again interaction, have them open the windows. Kevin obviously said you would hope. Can I try it? Can I use it? So basically, Kevin, if you want to just put those push two things in, no, just push them in nice right there, and just tilt the window in.
Wow.
So now it's easy to reach in. You can clean the glass.
Perfect.
Makes it nice and easy. You don't have to get outside in your house. You don't have to get outside on a
Especially
ladder.
the second floor windows, or that would be.
And then risk obviously your husband getting out there. I'm sure you like him. Do some work around the house, as my wife likes me to do too. But she doesn't want me on a ladder 2 stories up.
Sure.
And if you just want to do the top, actually, believe it or not, which is really nice.
Wow.
If you just want to click the 2 top stashes in there, and the 2 interlocks.
The same thing. Do I just squeeze into the side?
Yeah, they just squeeze right in.
Okay.
See how easy that is?
Wow.
Nice and smooth. So now you have the opportunity to clean both the top and bottom sashes.
Sure.
And really would think that would be important to you, just because again, you don't want to get outside from the inside. Now you have comfort of your home to be able to clean both units, and as you said before, you hated having to get outside. You would have to have somebody power wash every year.
I don't like heights, so I don't want to be up on a ladder. That's for sure.
So eventually, when you put windows in the home, you think those features are important to you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And while we have the window open, this is a key point to touch on framing of the window itself. And again, I don't like to go into different chambers of vinyl extrusion and what they really do for you. Keys to this window, I'm going to show the customer being Kevin. The sash covers, so it actually looks like a nice wood window. A lot of vinyl windows, you have huge gaps on the side. You can see the block tackle or operation system going up and down. It's not very nice, not very clean looking. What's beautiful about this window and the window we sell, it's all also pure virgin vinyl.
Okay.
All the extrusions are pure virgin vinyl, through and through.
Sure.
So it's not one color on the outside, one color on the inside.
Yeah.
So I'd try to touch on the features of that. Balance covers, as you said before, Kevin.
Sure.
One thing you didn't like about the old windows, it really was the look and the appearance. So as you see, this window has a nice, clean look. With balance covers on each side, so you don't actually see the operation of the window,
right?
Because you don't really need to see those components,
right?
And if anything ever goes wrong down the road, there's a lifetime warranty on this product too, which I know is important to you, because you said you're going to be here, 10 years or more.
Yeah, making the investment. Yeah, my kids are in school, so I definitely want to. I'm going to be here for a while.
And then also with that, if you do ever sell the home, the warranty transfers over to the next buyer, so it's a selling point to you. It's not the full lifetime term, so 25-year term, but that
but it'll be prorated. Yeah, that's fair.
But something to offer the next customer coming in. So, touch on the effectiveness again. I like to open up with that functionality of the window, because I think really ultimately, as much as we go over the gas part of it and how beneficial it is, I think this is with most either consumer. I'll be honest, my wife probably opens the windows more than I do, so it would probably be more important to her, or maybe you got from the husband, in that in your presentation and assessment process that maybe he's the one that's opening all the windows all the time too. So functionality first, frame of the look, and we'll keep touching on the look as we go on the inside of it. Again. Now we'll go over functionality in terms of weather stripping for the customer. So as you said, Kevin, before too, a lot of draft coming through the windows. You feel coming through your frames. What's nice about this window, anywhere it touches a portion of the exterior interior framing, there's actually a piece of weathering stripping. So you see those weather stripping there, if you feel that. Just glad you're getting across here on your the top. So that's your top sash that's going to interlock into the actual window. And this nice U-channel that you have up in here, or sill dam, a lot of windows are just flat at the top, so it just kind of butts up to it. So this happens to be a very high-end vinyl window where it sits up into the frame. What you do is, again, just if you want to push that up again, just lock it nice and easy, and it clicks basically into the top. So now you have that nice seal. So why it's important, and when I showed you before, I know you said you had a guy in last time, and the window was kind of, let's say, a little flimsy, but it didn't operate as smoothly. It was a little loose at the top. Why it's a little tighter at the top is you want to keep air infiltration out. So that has a pressure seal interlock. So I usually tell people, again, as you had the use of used to do it, just put your thumb at the top and you kind of click it down, and then from there it's kind of nice and smooth. So that'd be your top sash. Now your bottom sash, again, all that weather stripping, interlocking.
I see it here too. This
So wherever
seems to be
it's
a
touching
thicker one, actually, Fred. This seems to be thicker on the bottom.
So this also has a weather strip and then a rubber seal at the bottom too. It's kind of like a car window. When a car window goes up,
I like
see
that.
a little rubber stripping on the side of it. This is really be for water infiltration. I'll just flip it around and I'll show you how that access too. But that's a great key point there that you pointed out. You picked up on. Not a lot of consumers do that. So I'm glad you did, so we can review that as well too. And what's nice about this unit, opposed to some other vinyl windows on the market, they kind of just butt up to each other. So the vinyl window would kind of tilt up, and then you really just have vinyl sitting on, vinyl. So you've probably seen over time in the one vinyl window you did replace.
It kind of dropped a little bit.
Lopsided or it drops off. This, again, another U-channel with some more weather stripping as you see, and that U-channel interlocks into there. So we want to keep those drafts out and those infiltration opportunities on the outside to keep the window in. So sometimes this window,
and I get it because this window's not installed, so it's a little different because it's not secured into a frame. So I understand with your demonstration.
So that tilts in, locks to the top. You have the
Oh,
sash lift too, with
Yep.
kit adhesive used for your operation.
I see that. Yeah.
Frame on the inside. So now you really see how sealed this window is on the inside. You can see even the weather stripping here. As you don't really, it's not protruding out, but that's what's going to keep that air infiltration
Yeah.
on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think eventually when you do the windows, those things are going to be important to you. Look at the window too. So this particular window is one of our nice Vinyl windows, opposed to some of the other ones on the
I
market.
didn't see those raised seams. The other guy's seams were really high on there. I didn't really care for that.
Yeah.
My wife really didn't care for it, actually.
Yeah, a
but
lot of
she
people
brought it
don't.
to my attention. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because wood products, are a little different than vinyl. They have vinyl welding, they weld the seams. So, this particular manufacturer, there is no vinyl welds or abrasions on the actual window itself,
Okay.
top to bottom. So this actually window is meant to replicate a wood look.
I was just going to ask you that. It looks like it's got all the best features of a wood window at the price point. Almost
built
like
into a vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah.
And wood versus vinyl. You don't dive back in again. You already did your needs assessment, so you already came up with this was the best window for the customer.
Right.
And I always start with the top. We could always work our way down. But as I'm tying those things through as we go through the sales process, I'm making sure all those things are important, to Kevin here. So if it comes down to the end of money or financial monthly payment, just sell the value. If we drop down only $10, those are things obviously we've gone over in our past podcast. So functionality, I think we covered. Again, tied it down with the customer. Went back, hey, this room you had a tough operation. Johnny room you felt draft. This is how this is going to address those issues for Kevin. The locking system, the look of the window, and then the glass portion. Again, we'll get into kind of next time. We'll flip it to the outside of the window too, just to give a look from the exterior for the customer. So we want to make sure again. This is what your finished product's going to look like from the exterior. You're going to go over your installation process too at some point, and that'll be for another podcast where we break that down.
Yes.
But outside of the window, in terms of the look, functionality. So, Kevin, as we review the inside of the window, importantly on the outside of the window, as you saw where all those weather stripping things were touching the exterior frame of the window. As you pointed out, you saw that rubber seal, which is basically like a car window.
Yes.
So any vinyl window, when you have rain driving against it, is susceptible to water infiltration. And I know one of the other windows you had a sill routed out. So what actually happened in there is the water sitting, and the vinyl particular window does not have a great weep hole system.
Okay.
So I'm just going to lift this up.
Wait, you said what was the word you used? Weep hole?
Yes.
Okay.
So
what does that really mean? I'm not sure what that means. Yeah.
So if you had other people in, they might not have touched on it or went over really the importance of that.
Yeah.
Because listen, as great as our window is and every other windows in the market, water always finds a way. One of the most powerful things on earth. We'll say a lot of times can't be controlled, but we can, management. So water management. So most vinyl windows, again, as we talked about, and as you saw from prior estimates, had a flat surface vinyl sash at the bottom.
Yeah.
So again, the window's now just sitting there. Now, even if you have weather stripping and you have things to protect it, and the locking system doesn't work good, and you don't have that, water can still drive underneath there.
Okay.
So what's nice about this particular window manufacturer that we sell and gives us kind of a leg up against our competition, because not a lot of them offer it, is a Sildam U-channel here, basically where the sash drives all the way down past the frame of the window. And I show them, as you see here in the podcast, you can kind of see in the video, it's basically another layer of protection where when this sits into the frame, now water can hit against here, but it has the blocker here, so now it can't drive underneath these particular areas here. You have that weather stripping in the seam, which I know was important to you, and one of the things you pointed out, Kevin. So, I'm glad you realized the importance of that. And then what we have here right at the bottom is our weep holes. So basically, these drains.
Okay.
What will happen is if water does get into those areas, you have your extra protection from the inside of the unit.
Okay.
And then water will work its way out through the vinyl and through the outside. So a lot of people see these holes and come, oh no, water's going to infiltrate in, and come inside the house. Not the case, because it's on the outside frame, and the way that this is designed, the water will actually leak to the outside, and all of that would tie into your installation to make sure that your installer is doing it correctly. And while you want to reiterate how you do your installation process, again for another podcast as we break that down. And then really what I'll do from there is kind of get into the glass. So I'd like to, me personally, I feel, again, we touched on simplicity.
Yes.
You know, for the customer operation of the actual unit itself.
And Fred, I just want to jump in there for a quick second. I think storytelling is so powerful when we discuss whatever component it might be, whether it's the glass, it's the frame, it's the sash, anything like that. You got to have a quick little snippet of a story that really just kind of is impactful. Now, Fred and I were roundtabling these ideas before we started our show today, and you know, his example was different than mine, and I like his as well. So that might be more, it might resonate with a different customer a little better than what I do. And I'm going to take that, you know, if you want to share that story, and then I'll share with what I do with it, you know, as it pertains to the argon gas in between the paint.
Yeah, so, you know, as we dive in next time, so Lowy, you know, is a film coating on the window, like a tint, you know, basically reflective tint. Car windows, well, some should have it, some, you know, we particularly live now in front windows, you can't have it, but Lowy is going to give you a little bit of protection in terms of UV lighting and, you know, say heat, really not so much. So argon gas is basically the gas that's in between the window, or you might call it krypton gas, depending on what manufacturer you use. So basically what the argon gas does is slow down the transfer of air, you know, from inside to outside. So how much argon gas is actually pumped into the window is key and crucial. Our particular manufacturer, you know, is one of the higher, pretty much the highest end of windows. Some of the local window, again, your competitors, where you could say, you know, how are their windows rated? How much argon gas do they use? One thing I like to use with the customers, if you go onto the nsrc.org, they actually rate every vinyl wood window manufacturer in the United States, and you could actually see what the windows are rated, how much argon gas they fill their windows with. So we say argon gas, people, they look at you like you're crazy. Again, if it's an engineer, maybe you want to go over combustion, you know, the molecules, and to me, I just, even myself, you know, I would probably get lost with that. So my explanation really to people is how argon gas really works, you know, is the resistance of air. So Kevin, you know, say we're, you know, both outside, and you're in the pool, and I'm outside the pool, and I, you know, say let's race to the other end. Obviously, I'm going to get there, you know, first if you're trying to run through water. And if you could just picture that in your head, and as a customer, you know, have you ever jumped in a pool and maybe you were playing, you know, volleyball or you know, water polo, and you tried to, you know, move across the pool to catch somebody or something? It's not that easy.
Exactly.
So that's really what argon gas is meant to do. It causes that resistance, and it's really going to be your main defense against keeping cold air out. You know, summertime, wintertime, again, cold air conditioning in the home, and that's where you want to maybe break in, and we'll go into next time. You know, what's your average electric bill? You know, what do you spend a year? You know, and that's how you can really get into your pitch, and how you're really going to ultimately close the sale.
You could also add to that is when we're talking about the energy efficiency of a window, also the installation method. And I know we were going to talk about that, you know, in another.
We'll touch on that maybe with the argon gas too.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that we utilize is low expansion spray foam. Now, I know a lot of guys out there are just utilizing the pink insulation and taking a spackle knife and tucking it in between the house framing and the frame of the jamb of the window. And, you know, that's great and all, but there's no insulating value to it. Very, very minimal. So there's different ways that you can really separate yourself on the installation method. Subsequently, with the window as well, you package that together. You're really defining yourself as an innovator, you know, by putting them in that particular fashion. So whether they're replacement style or new construction, we're doing the same method.
And every application is different. There's no right or wrong way to install a window. Replacement windows, if they're installed correctly, are great. But a lot of guys, you know, depending on their labor and stuff, you know, slap it in, put caulk on it. So again, spray foam, you know, even if it's a vinyl window, we still wrap the frame with flashing tape. So, you know, we'll get into a little bit more of that, but just touch today would really be, obviously it went through, you know, say quickly, but what we feel are key talking points, and you have to design that into your own sales pitch, and really how to deliver that in a very emotional. I know, you know, we kind of broke down a little bit of tie downs. Really how to create the emotion around that. You know, soft spoken. You know, you remember in, you know, Johnny's room, Kevin, when you you know, and that's really how you deliver that experience. You get them engaged, and you make, you know, we want to. People don't want to buy; they want to be sold. So it's, again, I want it. You know, how do you make them? I want it.
Do you really want Johnny to experience that infiltration, that you know, cool breeze on his back of his neck while he's laying in his crib or something? You know what I mean? So you know.
It's emotion. You know, it's tied down, but it's also going to benefit them. And the end of it, it's not just to get the sale. I mean, we do it every day. Although, you know, we're in sales and we want to get the job. You know, I think our sales philosophy is really, it truly is about the customer. It's not just about the number. You know, those are really the added benefits. But you know, the heat savings, the air savings, whether it be siding, whether it be windows, whether it be roofing, really, you know, the key importance of that. So figure out how to tie that in. But those are the things that we find to be very successful. Around our windows, we're between 65, 70% sometimes on average on our close rate. So, you know, we do very well, and I think those are because of the things that we touch on. And every, you know, manufacturer is different, but really, you know your competition in your market.
Correct.
You know, most U factors or solar heat gains, again, you don't want to go crazy, kind of quick snippets, but you know that going into it, know what you have, and you know, make sure you're able to deliver that to the customer in a smooth fashion.
Absolutely.
I think that's, you know, really it for today. I hope we touched on enough in terms of the window category. Next week we'll touch on how we describe kind of our argon gas to the customer, and then really just kind of circle back with all the tie downs.
Yes.
And then really how to, you know, say ask for the sale at that point, and maybe get into a little of, you know, a little bit of no's and how do we overcome those no's after we already kind of went through everything on that end of it. As always, you know, we appreciate the, you know, following question, concerns, or obstacles. Please reach out to us. I don't know if you want to finish.
Yeah, I just want to give everybody a final thought for the day. One of our mentors left us with a really, really great mindset. So we want to equate tie downs to escape hatches. So those escape hatches, we want to close them as quickly and as consistently as we can throughout the sales interaction. So when Fred's tying that down, isn't this the window that you'd like to see installed in your home when that time comes? Yes. Okay, so we know that they like the window. Okay, if I could get this to a price point that works for you, great. You know, tie them down. It's the more you can consistently do that, then you get to the end that you don't really have any opportunity to say, well, is it anything other than price? Yeah, we've got that closed down, and then we can work on either whether it's, like I said, a price drop,
maybe
monthly
a little
payment,
bit more than I thought.
finance,
you know, the investment or longer term financing. You know, great talking points. Also, another, you know, just to finish would be, well, unless you get a yes, you can't continue.
Correct.
So
great point.
If customer, you know, again, no pressure. When you eventually put the windows in your home, you know, sometime in the future, when you decide to put these windows in, Kevin, you know, is this my company and my product, Windows you see protecting your home? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, again, if you don't get a yes there, then, well, you know, why do you say that?
Right.
You know, simple again, open the door, not, you know, well, what, you know, so make sure you
definitely don't get defensive. Be open.
Make sure you're not continuing until you get those yeses. You know, do you understand why those weather seals, everything are important? Yeah. Not, you know, no, okay, well, let's circle back, you know, so make sure you're doing that too, through the process. And, you know, look for next time we'll go into probably the installation, the argon gas, and we'll get into some closing techniques with windows. And then, you know, we'll go with some siding, some roofing, and then, you know, some additional categories as well too. So,
absolutely.
Thank you for watching, listening today. Hope you guys took something out of it, and have a great sales day. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one.